Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm Lisa with Lisa Capen Quilts. In this video, I'm walking you through the pattern instructions for the Be Mine mug rug. It's a Valentine's Day mug rug featuring raw edge applique. Y'all, there's no piecing to make this mug rug, so you can make a bunch of them in one afternoon. I'm going to share a couple tips that if you are new to applique and the thought of doing applique on small little letters is intimidating, then I have a tip to share with you in today's video. We're going to walk you through about 15 minutes from start to finish on how to do this mug rug. Come on and let's go get started. Getting started with this mug rug is super easy. First, we're going to give our fabrics a press, all of our applique and our mug rug fabrics. And then we're going to cut out our background fabric, our batting, and our back fabric. The back fabric is cut so that you have an inch to do a self-binding all the way around your mug rug, or you can trim that extra inch off and do a traditional binding if you want. In today's project, I'm using a thin 80-20 batting. You can also use a cotton batting, something really thin. I like these thinner battings for my mug rug projects. And so you'll cut those and get those ready. And then guess what? There's no piecing for this mug rug. So it's going to go together really fast. It is all raw edge applique. So on the second page, you're going to find all of your templates. There is a set of right side up templates for your freezer paper applique. There is a mirror imaged set of letters for using fusible like heat and bond light. There is also an SVG file, and that's how I'm going to cut out my letters for today's project with my brother's scan and cut, just like you see here. And then you'll have your hearts that make up the body of the bee, and it tells you how many you need to make and cut. And for the hearts, because they're super simple, I just went ahead and traced those and cut them out. Then you also have right down here, you have the antenna. So you'll trace 2 circles and cut those out of fabric. And then you're going to trace the little stem of the antenna right onto your mug rug top. You have your eye templates. Today I'm going to use googly eyes. So I'm skipping this part, but you can cut it out of fabric if you want. And then you have a mouth template that you can trace and the trail of the bee. If you want to add that onto your mug rug, you can trace that here. So now I have all of the parts for my mug rug all cut out, and I'm ready to fuse them onto the background of my mug rug. Aren't they cute? One little shortcut I'm going to do with this one. When I cut out the letters with my scan and cut, the little holes inside the B, the letter B, are so cute. And so I'm going to substitute the little holes that came out of the B for the antenna. So mine's going to look a little bit different, but I think that's going to be super cute, and it's a great way to use those little offcuts too. So let's move over to the pressing board. I'm going to go ahead and do, let's say I'm going to fuse my pieces down, and then I'm going to trace the little bead trail with a heat erasing pen. And I haven't decided if I'm going to stitch those parts out, the little antenna and the bead trail and the mouth, or if I'm going to use a satin stitch. I guess we'll decide when we get to that part. To make this project even faster, I've decided to use a fabric marker. So to get started, I held my pattern up to the window so I could see through my fabric. And I traced the mouth template right onto the heart that I'm going to use for the bee's head. To do that, I used a fabric marker by Marvy. This marker gives a nice solid dark line, and I really like these fabric markers. So now we're ready to go ahead and place all of our pieces. Keep in mind, I haven't done the binding yet, so the binding will come up over top of the mug rug by just a little bit. Keep that in mind when positioning all of your letters and your bee pieces. I've used heat and bond light to do my applique today, so these letters will need to be stitched down. Just going to position them right on the mug rug and fuse them in place so they don't move as I move along. Now we can position all of the bee parts. I'll bring in the wings, the body hearts and then layer the heart for his head right on top. And then I'll fuse those right into place. Then I can bring in my templates, and because I used a muslin for the top of my mug rug, I can see pretty well through that fabric and just trace the trail of the bee and then the two little antennas. Now all I have left is the two little tops of the antenna, and we'll fuse those down. Now that all the pieces are fused into place, I'm going to create the layers of my mug rug. I have the backing fabric with the pretty side facing down. I'll center the batting right in the middle using a ruler at the top and on the side, marking the 1-inch mark. I'm going to glue baste my 3 layers with an Elmer's clear glue stick, and then dry that glue with a good hot iron. And while we're right here, I'm going to go ahead and do my binding. With the extra inch of fabric all the way around the top of the mug rug, using the back, I'm going to do a self-binding. Now, if you've never seen how to do this, I'm going to link an older video showing each one of the steps down in the description box below. And once my binding is done, we're moving over to the sewing machine. The first thing I'll do is stitch down my binding all the way around with just a straight stitch. Now, because I've used Heat and Bond Light, I'll need to stitch down each one of my applique pieces once I'm done stitching down my binding. I think for the bee's head and his tail, I will use a blanket stitch. In my last mug rug video, the Love Mug Rug, I had a question from Kate Murphy that asked, would you show what your blanket stitch looks like on your machine and what are the settings you use? So on the screen, Miss Kate, is what my blanket stitch looks like on my Juki HZL-F600. As far as my settings, for each project it is completely different, so I always keep a couple of scraps next to my machine and check out the settings until I get them right for each one of my projects. Once I have the settings exactly the way I want them to look, we can go ahead and stitch down the parts of the applique that I want to use the blanket stitch on. I'm using a black thread with this blanket stitch, and it really helps define the shape of the bee's head. I love that. And it almost looks like I hand stitched this down, but that would take me forever. So by machine it is. Of course, you could use any of the stitches in your machine to stitch down your applique. So I'll stitch down his head and then move down to the tail of the bee. The blanket stitch looks really cute on these small little projects like this, so if you've never used it, I highly recommend practicing with your blanket stitch. Now I'm going to switch over and do some free motion quilting on the letters and the rest of the bee. So I've switched my foot, I'm bringing up the bobbin thread, and here's my tip for doing applique. If the thought of stitching down smaller pieces like the antenna or the letters of this mug rug is something that's going to keep you from trying this, use the Heat and Bond Ultra Hold. It is permanent. All you have to do is trace your templates, cut out your pieces, and fuse them into place, and you are done. There's no stitching down of all of these little tiny parts. I thought it would be super cute to go ahead and quilt the little antenna lines that I drew with the fabric marker. And now I can just skip from place to place and do all of the stitching down of the applique and quilting that I want to get done on this mug rug. Each time I move around, I take a couple of little stitches right in place to lock that thread. And before I jump and move, I also take a couple more little tiny stitches just to lock in all of those stitches right in place. I've found that when I do a free motion stitch to stitch down my applique and do my quilting like this, that it really speeds up the amount of time that I'm sitting at the sewing machine. And I kind of like the quaint look of the single free motion stitch, even though it's not perfect all of the time. I think it is really just super cute. I also like how quick you can just move from piece to piece. So I've switched over and moved to the wings in the middle section of the body. And then I'll jump down to the mouth area and I'll just do a single straight stitch right on the mouth. And then jump to the little trail of the bee. That part really doesn't have to be quilted, but I thought it would look really cute. And now I'll move down here and stitch these other letters off camera. Now I'm all done stitching down my applique. Isn't that just adorable? And stitching down your applique after creating your layers also serves as your quilting. So it's quilted with all of the stitches. I know you probably cannot see that because I used black thread in the bobbin. So it all blends in, but the texture of it is just so cute and adorable. And if you look real close in person, you can see the quilting on the back. I love that so much. So all I have left to do is the eyes, because I chose to do the little googly eyes. At my Dollar Tree, they had these googly eyes, and I said, that is so adorable, let's do that. So I did not cut out fabric pieces for my eyes. Let's see, I'm gonna find some googly eyes that are about the same size as the template though. So that looks about the same. And I'm gonna pour them all out and make a big mess. Let's see, the package doesn't want to open. There we go. Let's pour some out here. Oh, those are super cute. Let me find some that fit close to, but not too big. Let's see. Oh, well, there's really only 3 options. Huh. Okay, let's go with this one. It's going to be way smaller, but it looks like I only have 3 options, and that one is just way too big. Yeah, it's a little too big. Let's go with the medium option. Now, I'm going to be using some fabri-tac glue to glue my eyes to my fabric, and that'll be permanent. And I think that you could hand wash this mug rug if you needed to wash it, right? I don't know if these googly eyes would hold up to machine washing. Certainly the fabri-tac glue would, but I don't know about these googly eyes. What do you think? I think if I need to wash this mug rug, I will probably just hand wash it. I'm going to put a little bit of fabri-tac glue right on the back of this googly eye. Just a little bit, and let's place his eye there. That looks cute. The fabri-tac glue is clear and it dries pretty quick. And let's place that one right there. Oh, that's super cute. That is so adorable. So there we go. We have finished up. I'm going to let that dry for a few minutes after we're done. But yes, isn't that just adorable? So I hope you have fun making this little Be Mine mug rug. Isn't he adorable? If you make this, I would love to see it. You can easily share pictures of your mug rugs and other projects over on the Creative Crew Facebook group. There's a link in the description box below. And I would love to see your pictures. If you don't do Facebook, use the link to my Etsy shop down below. And you can send me pictures through Etsy as well. I would love to see your work there. Until I see you next time, everybody, have fun creating, and we'll see you really soon. Bye.